Hi everyone. So we're going to continue what we were doing the other day with factor by grouping and moving in more into what if it's not, you can't do factor by grouping, what do you do? So here's some older factoring problems, so pause the video and do these. So this first one is our MC chart, right? Multiply to negative 60, combine to negative 17. Now there's two options here that are very close. So we've got 3 and 20 or 5 and 12. So those one of them subtracts to 17, one adds to 17. Which is it? It's going to be the top one because we need a negative, right? We're multiplying to a negative. So the top one subtracts to negative 17, the bottom negative 7. So we've got our x plus 3, x minus 20. And then how do you factor the bottom one? There are x's everywhere, and those are not both perfect squares. 16 is, 42 is not. So that is a GCF. The GCF is 2x. Divide, we get 8x minus 21. Parentheses, GCF on the outside. Okay, so now do these two factor by grouping problems. So we are going to find the GCF of the first two, that is x squared. GCF of the second two, negative 9. Remember, if this is a negative, it's automatically a negative. When I divide, I get x plus 7, and then bring out my GCF. I divide again, x plus 7. Those two have to be the same. The binomials are exactly the same. So we have another GCF of x plus 7. So x plus 7 goes out front, and what are we left with? So that goes away, that goes away. So we're left with x squared minus 9. And then you need to ask yourself, can you factor x squared minus 9? You can, that's a dots. So our x plus 7 is just chilling in front. X squared minus 9 is a difference of two squares, perfect square subtraction. X times x, 3 times 3. One's a plus, one's a minus. This one, a little harder. I would say this is about as hard as I would make it. GCF of the first two is 4x squared. GCF the second two is negative 25. Remember, it's a negative, so our GCF is negative. What do we get when we divide? 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3. So this did work. We have the same binomial twice. Right? 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3, cancels out. And then we are left with the 4x squared and the minus 25. Is that a dots? Yes, it is. So 2x minus 3, and then what's the square root of 4x squared? 2x times 2x. 25 is 5 times 5. One's a plus, one's a minus. Right? So that's the review. That's pretty much all we're doing on grouping today. Okay, factor the polynomial given one of its factors. So if I know, I can just do synthetic division to divide, right? So we write out our coefficients. And then what do we put on the outside? Since this is x plus 5, we're going to write minus 5. Remember, you switch the sign. Bring down our 1, multiply. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Combine down. Negative 2 times negative 5 is 10. Combine down. 40. Combine down. So I do have a zero remainder. For all of these problems, we need a zero remainder. So what are we left with? X squared minus 2x minus 8, and now that is factorable. That's an MC chart. What multiplies to negative 8 combines to negative 2. 2 times 4, and the 4 is negative. So x plus 2, x minus 4, and we need one more thing. That x plus 5 that we divided by goes in front, because we're just factoring. We're not just dividing. Right? If you multiply all that out, you would get that original trinomial, or polynomial. All right, pause and try the next one. Same idea, 1, 9, 24, 20. Change the sign. Bring my 1 down. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. You get 7. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14, 10. And negative 20 gives us a 0. We started at x cubed, so we go down to x squared plus 7x plus 10. That is, again, an MC chart. What multiplies to 10 and combines to 7. 2 times 5, so x plus 2, x plus 5, and then we have one more thing we have to do. Even though it's already there, we have another x plus 2, so I'm going to throw that in the front. Right? And that's our answer. Okay. Now, what if I gave you, instead of the factor, I gave you the root? Right? So we actually talked about this. If f of 11 equals 0, that means x minus 11 is a factor. Right? So 11, we can go on the outside, and this will divide out the polynomial. So instead of switching, we don't have to switch the sign this time, we're just going to put 11 out, because f of 11 came from the factor x minus 11. So 1, negative 10, negative 17, 66. 1, 11, 1, 11, negative 6, negative 66, 0. So then what's left? We're going from x cubed down to 1x squared plus 1x minus 6. That factors. Multiply to negative 6, combine to positive 1, so that's 3 and 2. The 3 is positive. And then don't forget, because we have the f of 11 equals 0, meaning x minus 11 is a factor. Right? So this is another way, instead of giving you one of the factors, they'll just say, well, this is the root. So pause and try 6 on your own. So again, 1, 3, negative 6, negative 8. Now remember, we don't change the sign with the root. We only change the sign. All right, so we bring the 1 down. What is wrong with my pen? Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Negative 8. 8, 0. Oh, look at that. X squared plus 2x minus 8. I think we had that on the last one. So then we factor that. X, 2, 4. So plus 4 minus 2 when we factor that. And then the x minus, the f of x, f of negative 1 becomes x plus 1. Change that sign. And that's our answer. All right, now let's take a look at this slide for a second. So if you notice, we've got negative 4. That's not coming out very well. I got this negative 4, negative 2, and 1. What do you know about those numbers? Like, what do you notice about them? Right? If we were to multiply all of that out, what do we get? If we distributed that out, what are we left with? We get this negative 8, right? This negative 8 here. 1 times negative 2 times 4 gives us negative 8. How about the 66? Where does that come from? 3, negative 2, and negative 11. So the numbers that end up in the parentheses are all multiples of 8 and 66. Right? Just like when we do the MC chart, right? When I do this MC chart, multiply to 8. So I'm thinking of what are all the possibilities that multiply to 8. So that when we're looking at something like this, where I'm not giving you any extra information, you just need to figure out, okay, what are the numbers that are going to work? What we're going to do is we're just going to look at what's that number, what's that last number, what's that constant term. So what are numbers that multiply to 10? Well, we've got 1, right? 2 goes into 10. 5 goes into 10, and 10 goes into 10. But because we're multiplying more than one thing, it's not 1 and 10, 2 and 5, like it was with a trinomial. We're just thinking in general, what are all the different possible things that could give us 10? And it could be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10, right? The possible factors are that x plus 1 could be, it might not be x minus 1, right? That could be, not necessarily. X plus 2, x minus 2. So these are the roots. These are the factors. So these are all the possible factors and roots, but we don't necessarily know which one it is. So we end up having 8 possibilities here. So all the roots of a polynomial are factors of the constant term. So we're going to look at that last term, and then we're going to write down all the factors of it. Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 15. Okay, so if I want to factor this, I have no idea what the factors are. So we're going to write down on the side all of our factors of 12. So I got plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, and plus or minus 12. So there's a lot in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 12 of them. What we're going to do is synthetic division using guess and check. So I got my 1, my 6, my 5, and my negative 12. Right? Now, honestly, I just start with 1 and work my way through. And we only need to find 1, right? So it's a little time consuming, but grab an eraser. Honestly, I prefer scrap paper. I just do scrap paper instead of erasing all the time. All right, so I'm going to just try 1, see what happens. So bring my 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1. 7, 7, 12, 12, 0. Oh, hey, it worked. It worked because we got a 0, right? Remember, our goal here is to have a remainder of 0. So then now we have x squared plus 7x plus 12. All right, how do you factor that? What multiplies to 12 combines to 7. That's just a regular trinomial. Now, if there was a 1 on the outside, what's our factor? X minus 1, right? So that one was nice. We got it on the first shot. Okay. All right, same idea. We've got 1, negative 2, negative 13, negative 10. What are our possible factors? Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 5, and plus or minus 10. All right, so I'm going to pick one that I know is wrong just so you can see what it looks like. I'm pretty sure 10 is not going to work. So I bring my 1 down. 10 times 1 is 10. Combine down, I get 8. 80. 67. 670. 660. I have a remainder of 660. So that means I know that 10 is, like, we want a remainder of 0. So that plus 10 does not work. All right? So we want to find one with a remainder of 0. So now either erase or just go and do it again. All right? So pick a different number. I always start with 1. I'm going to try 1. 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 14. And at this point, I would just stop because I automatically know this isn't going to work, right? Negative 4, that's negative 24. So now I'm going to erase the 1, take that away, erase, try again. It's a quick process. I know that this is like intense, but you can do it. All right, now I'm going to try negative 1. Let's see, we get negative 1, negative 3. Ooh, this looks good. Positive 3 gives me a negative 10. Positive 10, 0. So that negative 1 worked. So we got 1x squared minus 3x minus 10. That's an MC chart. We usually have an MC chart. What multiplies to negative 10 combines to negative 3. 2 times 5, where the 5 is negative. So plus 2 minus 5. And then we're going to throw the parentheses out front. And remember, we're changing the sign. That's a root. We want it to be a factor. So x plus 1. So that's this problem. All right, so now we're just going to practice. I think I didn't give you a lot either. I think it's only 6 problems.